Hey everyone, welcome to another battle report from Gaming in the Keats. I am your host Chris, and this is the Duel of Titans Round 3, Titanfall. And yes, that is correct, we are now playing a custom scenario that finally indulges the Titan. Which I'll get more into a bit later. But this is Dread Elves versus Warrior of the Dark Gods. And it's against a green dragon's clubmate. Well, not clubmate, but he's a club member of the Green Dragons, Ben, and I'm going to be up against a tough one today. So let's get to the lists and let's see how we get on. All right, so I've already gone over my list in more detail. You can watch the first round. But yep, we're going with the MSU Dread Elves, the Chariot Prince, the Raptor Prince, the Div, effectively an adept with the Book of Arcane Mastery. And in the big death unit of spears, we got the 2 units of Obsidian Guard just to be awesome. A Raptor Chariot Buddy, we got the Dread Effigy, so I get that juicy 3-up channel. It's a good time, and we got Mr. Cuddles, the Hydra, who so far is actually winning on the Cuddles report here. Wait, hold on. No, for my last round, if you saw my last round, yes, no, that is correct. So on my last round, Mike's Hydra got more points than my Hydra. And so therefore, my Hydra is currently the cuddliest of Hydras. So, yeah, we're having our nice little competition there. Anyway, let's get into my opponent's list, which is way more interesting. For my opponent, Ben's list, Warriors of the Dark Gods, he's got an evil chosen lord on a black steed, Aether Icon, shield, Hellforged armor, all that awfulness. Touch of Greatness, Immortal Gauntlets, Sloth, Idol of Spite. This dude sucks. I hate this guy. Because he kicks my 2 characters' ass. Because of the Immortal Gauntlets, he can make his attacks either flaming or divined, and then, like, he can, of course, I think he can also, he does something in which it increases his attack value and AP as well, so he's like effectively AP4 or AP5. I don't know what it was. I forgot what it was. Anyway, it's a long time ago, but this guy's an asshole. Anyway, we've got a Sorcerer Lord on a Master of Occultism. Yay, as Dread Elves love the Master of Occultism. Psych. With the Magical Heirloom and Errata Battle. 9 Barbarian Horsemen, so that's the bunker. We got 2 units of 10 Fallen for, like, auxiliary chaff? I don't know. 2 units of 10 Fallen, they're interesting. We got 2, like, primary chaff sources, so that's the Warhounds. And then we got 2 bricks of Warrior Knights that are Envy with the Banner of Speed. So these guys, like, have double maximized Advance 9 charges, maybe Advance 10, I can't remember, but these guys were super fast. And then you got the Sloth Knights, which is where the Chosen Lord goes into with great weapons and Sloth, which I love this unit is great, and Aether Icon, so that unit's like MR2, and 2 Warrior Chariots to round out the list. Just why not? Alright, so pregame settings, we're on the same map as I played in round 2, so map B1. We're using the Dawn Assault deployment. So that's the 12 inches up for both sides, and then you have the 18-inch null zone, and you can choose to ambush a unit if you so choose. And then the secondary this is the infamous Duel of Titans. This is what the tournament is named about. So both players bring an extra 50 by 75 base model to the tournament, and that is their Titan. And as you can see, it's got special stats. It's Advance 6, March 10. It's Discipline 7. It has 10 health points, res, and strength 5, offense, defense 3. It has 0 attacks. But lo and behold, it has a 4-up armor save, agility 2. It's a large beast, so it does have swift stride. Keep that in mind. And the model moves like a rank and file unit that does not have light troops. So it's not just like single model shenanigans here. So you do have to measure the wheels and moving laterally and backwards in a half advanced rate. So I like this. I really like this a lot. And then it has this sort of, you either do the grind attacks 2d3 strength 5 AP 0, or no, this is the spit rocks thing. It's towering presence. It's unbreakable, so it can't flee, and it's fearless. It does have swift reform, so you can kind of get away with some things. But its main thing is it grinds, and the grind attacks are always set to strength 4 AP 2. And so for the secondary objective, right, we both have these Titans. Our only scoring unit is effectively our Titan. And when the Titan is a part of a combat in which an enemy unit is destroyed or breaks from combat, you give the Titan a kill token. And of course, if the Titan is removed as a casualty, it loses all its tokens. So that's kind of, like duh. But the player's Titan who has the most kill tokens by the end of the game wins the secondary. So we basically got to get our Titans to have kill tokens on them by either destroying a unit or breaking a unit from combat. And this warning is actually pretty crucial because you'll see something come up in the game, which we have to double check on whether or not a Titan gets a kill token or not. So anyway, this is the secondary. This is what we've all been waiting for. And of course, if you've been paying attention from the intro screen, that Manticore model from Raging Heroes, that is my Titan that will be representing me in this Duel of Titans. So let's see if she can do some work. So my pregame thoughts here. This is a shitty matchup for me. I'm not gonna lie, this sucks. My macro plan here, and this is sort of the macro plan I take with Warriors of the Dark Gods in general, is I just split my army in half. And the reason why, especially for this MSU style of army, is that it forces the Occultism Master to just aim all of its evil damage magic in one direction. So it's just well, you're gonna get some points, but you're not gonna get all my points. And because the Warriors of the Dark Gods are usually such an elite army, it's more beneficial for me to have them allocate their more expensive resources to getting the small points on the corners of the board. And that allows me to also pick and choose my battles a bit more strategically. So that's my general plan as a whole when I play Warriors of the Dark Gods, because I fucking hate the Master of Occultism. See, Master of Occultism, sad face. It can take out my single characters if I'm not careful. It will wreck the Obsidian Guard. It will wreck the spears if I let all those damage spells go if I'm not able to stop them. And then of course with Warriors of the Dark Gods, they can sacrifice Veil tokens to increase the range so that Wizard Bunker doesn't actually have to get too close to me, and I fucking hate that so much. It's so annoying. But whatever, that's just something I have to deal with that. And speaking of which, I'm outranged by this army anyway. It's faster than I am. It has higher armor value. I really don't have too much AP. My highest AP value is AP 3. it's just a challenging matchup. And so for me, it's just like I need to find a way to combo charge if I can to like trap one of those units of knights, get the Titan involved in that combat somehow, and like get that token, and then just piece the fuck out of there. That's my plan. With the micro stuff, like, you know, I have to do my best to use Witchcraft to, like, you know, my opponent obviously needs to stop Will o' the Wisp, so then I can kind of compound all the cheaper spells, say, for example, Scrying and then Deceptive Glamour, so that all those knight units are going to be hitting me on 5s or even 6s and then wounding me on 4s, like, say, with wheel turns. So it ends up working out, like, that can kind of shift those combats into my favor a bit more. So that's sort of my thinking there with the micro. I think the Obsidian Guard can actually do okay against Envy Knights if they charge them. Again, if I get, like, some of those magic buffs off, like Scrying, for example, because they're, you know, agility 6, and even though they'd still have a 3-up armor against me because they're Envy Knights. You know, my unit is only 250 points, and those Envy Knight units are super expensive. So if I can take out like 3 or 4 of those knights, that leaves them open for, say, my chariots and the spears to clean up the knight units. So I think that's an advantage I do have. His Chosen Lord just beats my characters, like I mentioned earlier. That I just don't know how to deal with that aside from the will turns or Will o' the Wisp, and just like keep that guy out of combat or just feed him cheap stuff. And then the Hydra, Mr. Cuddles, just doesn't really have a good matchup in this one. All of that is like 3-up armor save at best, or yeah, on my side, right? Like the Hydra just gets, I think, ground down and beaten out. So yeah, not looking good. The estimation for me is a red. Alright, so for deployment, so I have the altar in the back in this corner here. We got the 8 Shadow Riders off to the side. They've already vanguarded out. We got the spears. We got the Beast Breakers. And then what I did was I put my 2 chariots together. Because my opponent did drop for first, I gave them the impassable in their deployment zone, and then so that meant that my opponent just chose to drop for first. So when I do the chariot prince with the regular chariot together, basically my idea here is that, like, okay, if you're going to use occultism magic to start sniping my characters, you have to allocate hits to the other chariot. So that's my thinking there. The base here, the 50x75, is my Titan because of the wings issue with my Shadow Queen Morathai, and my Manticore Titan. They couldn't quite fit very well together, so I had to take the Manticore off the base. So that's where the Titan is. Then we got Obsidian Guard, and then the Raptor Prince I've attached to this Obsidian Guard literally with the same thought process there. Like if a Breath of Corruption goes through, for example, my opponent would have to allocate hits. Then I got Shadow Riders, another unit of the Obsidian Guard in the back, and then the Hydra in the water, because I guess the Hydra needed a bath. On my opponent's side, we have Envy Knights top left. Behind the Envy Knights are Fallen, and then you have a chariot back there trying to zone against my Shadow Riders, trying to sneak around the flank. Then you have dogs, Envy Knights in the back. No, excuse me, those aren't Envy Knights. Those are that's the Barbarian Horseman with the Wizard Master in there. Then you have the Sloth Knights in the center, the second unit of dogs, another unit of Envy Knights. My opponent, unfortunately, was unable to procure a Titan model for the tournament, but luckily James, the organizer, supplied this nice 50x75 haunted house. So that's my opponent's Titan there. We have a second chariot here, and then we have the final unit of Fallen off to the side. So my opponent's turn 1, he just pushes forward with everything, as you'd expect from Warriors of the Dark Gods. The Titan does have a nice gap through here, so if he wanted, my opponent can charge the Titan through here. In other news, my opponent on the left side is just zoning with the chariot, just trying to make sure my Shadow Riders can't get out of his line of sight. Same with the Fallen. MV Knights, are coming up to be threatening, but I'm not too concerned about them, to be honest. I just don't want them getting into juicy targets like these Beast Breakers, for example, here. If I failed to mention, I can't remember, but my Wizard is actually in the auxiliaries in the back. The auxiliaries don't really have a good matchup here anyway. So I just kept them in the back with the Wizard. So in terms of magic, I stopped Breath of Corruption. I think my opponent failed to get the Grave Calls off onto this unit of Shadow Riders, or possibly failed a Hellfire. But then I let Marked for Doom go on to Mr. Cuddles, and then Mr. Cuddles, of course, takes 3 wounds because my opponent rolled the maxed out wounds for Marked for Doom, so that's not a good start there. But all in all, honestly, I got off pretty lightly. Okay, so my turn 1. I do some shuffling. The Shadow Riders, I activate them immediately and try and block this unit of Envy Knights. And so then I move up the spears a bit, making sure he doesn't have an overrun or anything like that. The chariots kind of stayed still. The Titans didn't stay still, maybe just did a bit of shuffling here, maybe pushed up a bit. I do push up the Raptors and the Obsidian Guard up a bit, and then I activate the other unit of Chaff. So already on turn 1, I'm activating 2 units of Chaff, which I'm not really happy about. Maybe I could have done something a bit better with this unit here, and say, hey, I'm going to take a charge from your Envy Knights with the Spear unit because I don't care. I think that was probably the better play, but I did what I did. I decided to activate them. However, my actual plan here is probably to try and what I end up doing is I get wheel turns off on this Envy Knight unit, so they're now wounding the Shadow Riders on 4s. I get scrying up on the Shadow Riders, so now they're hitting me on 4s, but my opponent, I think, stopped Stars Align because, unfortunately, I think I shift over at this point my Wizard, to the Beast Breakers, and I try and get a wheel turns off or a Stars Align off, but I think the wheel turns is actually stopped. And of course, as you can see, I back up with the Obsidian Guard on this right side, and Mr. Cuddles goes and hides behind a house because he's trying to save his points. Okay, opponent's turn 2. He charges the Shadow Riders. Importantly, this is interesting. He did elect to charge the Titan out and into the Shadow Riders. But he failed that charge. And for me, I was actually okay with that, because that meant, because of the positioning of the Titan, I felt that I could countercharge the Titan, get rid of it with the Obsidian Guard and the Raptor Prince, and find a way to overrun into his Sloth Knights. And I think then I can focus on buffing that unit. And I have a champion to soak up the, whatever you call it. I had to soak up the Chosen Lord. So, honestly, I'm actually kind of bummed that he failed it, because I was trying to bait out that, I was hoping that he'd make the charge, and because he can't flee with his Titan, then that gave me an opportunity to maybe slingshot myself into one of those units here. And then I think, the Chosen Lord might actually like if I challenge him out with the chosen lord or my champion, you know, I think I actually do okay against the sloth knights if I get magic support up. But no, he failed the charge. He activates his chaff and chaffs my chariots because he recognizes the fact that I've started getting evil eye up on my chariots to threaten his envy knights. And so he wisely does not charge the envy knights into the shadow riders, and instead backs up and he charges the flank of the shadow riders with the fallen, and then he puts the chariot on top of the hill here. Here's his wizard bunker just facing out to try and do some occultism awfulness. And then, you know, his fallen light troops, they come over here, same with the chariot. Can't see the Hydra, but then the Hydra can't see it, so we're playing peekaboo here. So he's just, you know, pressuring the center here with these units, and the same with those envy knights here. So in terms of magic, I'm not sure if he gets a marked for doom off on this Titan. I do see 2 wounds here, but I'm not sure if that's actually on the Titan or not, or if I just had them extra. But I'm going to assume they are. So I know that I basically stop everything else, or he failed to cast it, and again, I get off like super lucky. In close combat, interestingly, because I had wheel turns up and scrying up on the Shadow Riders, my opponent flubs with the Fallen, and I end up sticking, interestingly enough. So that puts me in an interesting position here. So I stick with the Shadow Riders here, so I have a few options of what I can do next. Okay, so drunk from my victory in the last battle, spoiler alert, I I charged my Raptor Prince into the Sloth Knights. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. I was thinking at the time, like, well, he doesn't have any counter charges on it, like, with the positioning of the Raptor Prince, and, like, I was just kind of hoping that both my Raptor Prince and his Chosen Lord just kind of fluff, because I have, like, the 1-up rerollable save, and then the 3-up ages against flaming attacks, blah, blah, blah. I was just, like, hoping to stick this unit here, which would give me some counter charges with the Obsidian Guard and my own Chariot Prince, like the actual hard-hitting, like the really hard-hitting stuff. So that's what I did. You'll notice here that I charged the Hounds with the Titan, and my opponent elected to flee. He doesn't flee very far, and so I actually catch the dogs with the Titan and turn to face. And this is where we had to call over the TO because I destroyed a unit with the Titan. However, due to the wording of the secondary, it doesn't count. It doesn't give the Titan a token because it needed to be through combat. So that was a bit of a bummer. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bummed by that. That my Titan didn't get his token. Whatever. All right, fine. And you can also see my spears here charged as fallen to, yeah. I just need to get rid of them, and then my plan here is to get rid of the fallen and then reform in a way to chaff the, reform in a way to kind of chaff these envy knights. Let's see if I can effectively accomplish that. I think magic, I ended up getting, I think I got another wheel turns off on the spears, like anticipating the chariot to come in. But I think my opponent stopped everything else to go onto my Raptor Prince into the combat. And this was stupid. Stupidity on my part, of course. But so the best part about this is that the Raptor Prince, of course we challenged each other out. we're fighting in this epic duel, and I do no wounds to him. He, in return, does 4 wounds to me, right? And then, on my first roll, and without the reroll, I roll 4 6s to survive. But he wins by 1 because he has he has a rank and a banner, and I have a charge, and I fucking break. And so he fucking runs me down. Like, god damn it. This is just stupid. Like, this shouldn't have happened. In terms of just, like, you know, I shouldn't have charged this guy in the first place. He really should have died. But then, like, to have this happen, which was just both my opponent and I were like, huh, well, that's weird. Because not only that, he ran me down, but he had to pursue, and then he therefore pursues out of line of sight of my fucking obsidian guard and the raptor and the chariot prince. So I'm just like, fuck. Damn it. Like, this did not go well for me. Okay, opponent's turn 3. So, let's talk about it. My opponent charges the auxiliaries, they flee. Luckily, my wizard had already bailed out and have gotten into the beast breakers a turn ahead. And then my opponent redirects into the obsidian guard, they flee off the board, causing my opponent to just fail charge forward, which, as I said earlier, I think I kind of spoiled it. He rolled high enough to take him out of line of sight of both the obsidian guard and my chariots. So I was pretty bummed about that. So my opponent netted just a whole bunch of points. And then in other news, this was interesting. I elected to flee. This is probably not the best decision here, but I elected to flee with the Shadow Riders from his Envy Knights, and then my opponent fails his redirect. So he just fails forward, right? But the chariot comes into the flank of the spears, because I kind of had to reform them in a way where, like, I guess I could have done it better, because I had to maintain my 1 inch boundary, my 1 inch boundary with the Shadow Riders. I couldn't put the chariot in my front, which is really frustrating. So I just had to, like, eat a flank charge from this chariot. But like, as you see there, I got the wheel turns off, so he's wounding me on 4s, which I'm pretty happy with. You know, I'm like, okay. And I did reform in a way to put the BSB onto the flank anyway, so I could allocate attacks onto his chariot. But yeah, he failed his redirect. Magic. Oh yeah, this is where magic. You know, I stopped Breath of Corruption, but his Hellfire / Grave Calls or whatever just ends up killing like 8 Obsidian Guards. So this Obsidian Guard unit only has like 2 models left. Also, he put his chariot in a way to prevent my Hydra from sneaking around his back door here, because you don't want, you know, Mr. Cuddles in your back door. So he did that pretty wisely there. But yeah, in close combat, the chariot fluffs, luckily. I mean, he fluffed on his impact hits, and then he failed to wound. He got a wound or 2 through, perhaps. I think he did put a wound on my BSB. He allocated some attacks onto the BSB, but he's wounding the unit on 4s, so he kind of fluffed it here. And I put a couple of wounds onto the chariot. I actually win, I think, and he sticks. And then I just reform the spears to face the chariot for my turn. Alright, so my turn 3. I find a nice little sweet spot with Mr. Cuddles out of line of sight of the Fallen, and I'm going to breath weapon them. Surprise, I kill 3. The 2 remaining Obsidian Guard march to their doom. I don't really know what I'm doing with them. I probably could have just saved their points, to be honest. But I think my goal was to bait out a charge from the Envy Knights and pull them closer to my chariot prince. Slash my other raptor chariot here who's owning the flank. In other news, the Shadow Riders do end up rallying here as well, and I charge my Titan into his other Envy Knights, and my plan here is, because I'm unbreakable, I don't care how many wounds he does to me, I'm unbreakable, and I'm just sticking this Envy Knight unit so that I can countercharge in my next turn with my Chariot Prince potentially and my spears to actually break or slash destroy this unit and get my freaking token on my Titan. So I do end up getting another wheel turns and scrying off on the spears, so his chariot's hitting me on 5s, potentially on 5s, and then wounding me on 4s, just to make it so his chariot is just not really doing shit. Interestingly enough, the chariot from combat breaks, because I don't actually kill it. It breaks, but then, surprise, it fails to rally, and I get the points for the chariot. So the spears end up getting those points back, luckily, and then the spears turn to face the Envy Knights here. He puts a couple of wounds onto my Titan here. I maybe kill like 1 with the grind attacks, but yeah, I'm unbreakable. It doesn't matter. So I'm okay with this right now. I'm okay. Alright, so my opponent's turn 4. He turns his Sloth Knights to face all the goodness of my army here, like threatening my flanks, and it's just not looking good there. He charges the Envy Knights. I probably should have honestly just fled. Like, realistically, I should have just fled and, just pulled that Envy Knight unit closer to me, so I could countercharge with the chariot. But I held, whatever. So he charges the Obsidian Guard, the 2 remaining Obsidian Guard. He keeps his Wizard Bunker and the other remaining dogs back. He brings his remaining Fallen over this way, closer to the center. His Spooky House is facing my Hydra. And then the chariot, his other chariot, is making it so my Hydra can't just, like, march out of his line of sight anywhere. So, yeah, the Hydra's kind of, like, pinned in there from his Titan and his chariot. I honestly don't know what he got off in Magic. I can't tell you. I know I stopped, I usually save my dice to stop Breath of Corruption, and I think he failed Grave Calls, and I think he also failed a Hellfire as well, or I stopped both. I stopped Hellfire and Breath, and then he failed Grave Calls. So it's possible that nothing happened this turn magically, but I'm not 100% sure. And then in close combat, he puts like 1 or 2 more wounds onto my Titan from the Envy Knights. I don't really do anything, but I'm unbreakable. So now I have the counter charges set up and hopefully trying to trap this unit and get my Titan token. Alright, I do just that. He does kill the Obsidian Guard and is also able to reform, so my Chariot Prince can't see him anyway. So that was just a poor play on my part. I just gave up that unit. So I just decided to say, hey, I'm going to charge. I need to ensure that this unit either is destroyed or breaks from combat. To be honest, I think I could have just gotten away with charging in the spears. And actually, I wonder if I could have tried, because I did have an evil eye up on the chariot. I wonder if I could have tried a charge against his Wizard Bunker with the chariot. But I remember my opponent, in terms of playing my opponent, and he was very careful about staying outside of my charge ranges. So it's very possible that he just was out of charge range from the Chariot Prince, even with the evil eye up. I think I just chose my only option in this at this rate. But anyway, with magic I get, so this time I'm anticipating a flank charge from the Envy Knights here. And so what I do is I get wheel turns and scrying up on the Chariot Prince. So he's wounding me on 4s and then hitting me on 5s. Granted, and I do get, I think I get, yeah, with the scrying, I do put the guiding light up onto the Chariot Prince as well, so I have a minimized reroll, in case things don't go well. So, moving on to close combat. So, on to close combat. Here's where I think I made a bit of a mistake. I killed, what is that, 5 knights, all in all. And I chose to restrain with the Chariot Prince and my spears to face the center and tried to pursue just with the Titan. And he gets away, and I don't roll high enough to catch, which ends up hurting me. So that does technically give me a token on the Titan, but I actually think I really should have just pursued with both the Chariot and the Titan to kind of guarantee it and hope that the Chariot actually blocks my Titan, because you'll see what ends up happening next. And so, because I have all these buffs on the Chariot, maybe it's worth risking the flank charge at the Envy Knights? I don't know. So, instead, my opponent, now that the flank of my Titan is exposed, my opponent charges the flank of the Titan with his Envy Knights, and his stupid Knights rally because I didn't catch them. So I don't get their points, and he has the flank of my Titan, so that Titan's probably not long for this world. He chaffs my Chariot Prince. He brings his Fallen up right in the center in the forest, and then he charges my chaff with the Shadow Riders, because I really didn't want this Sloth unit just charging any of my squishier units here. Also, you can see in my previous turn I was able to move my chariot out of line of sight of his Sloth Knights just with the advanced 7 that the chariot had. But in Magic, my opponent does start getting some damage spells through and blows up a bunch of spears, but they pass their panic. And now on to my turn 5. As you can see, my opponent killed my Titan, so I no longer have any tokens. Yeah, so I elect to charge his 4 knight unit, like his 4 remaining knights here with my spears. I'm like booking it with the Beastmasters and the Witchcraft outcast behind the hill, just trying to hide them. I charge my Chariot Prince into his chaff, and then I was able to charge his Fallen with my other chariot, and so I'm seeing an opportunity here. So my plan is I'm going to charge his Fallen, kill them, attempt to overrun into his hounds, and then with the way that it's maximized, this little line here actually can clip his wizard's bunker. And we predetermined this. Like, my opponent and I realized that this was a possibility, so we were both like, oh yeah, like, that's the move you gotta do. So I'm going for it. I back up Mr. Cuddles, try and get as far away from his, spooky house Titan as possible. And then I don't remember what I got off of Magic. I can't tell you. But sadly, I didn't make the overrun with the chariot into his dogs. First of all, I didn't. Hilariously, I don't take any DTs from going through the forest. But I missed it by 1 inch. It's like, fuck, no, damn it. And then this happens. So I kill 1 knight, he breaks with all the static res, and I test to restrain, and I fail my fucking 9 rerollable restrain test. And then to make matters worse, he rolls low enough where he gets away from me because I roll super low, but he's still on the board. So not only do I not get the points for this unit, I just exposed my spear unit with the BSB to this juicy charge from the Envy Knights. Oh, fuck. That sucks. Oh my god. And honestly, like, that's just dice. I don't know what to say there. So that was it, you know? Like, oh shit. Well, let's see what happens. So, as you expected, the Envy Knights hit the rear of my spears. And then, out of craziness, his Envy Knights fail to rally, and then they run off the board. So I guess that's something? That works, I'll take it, sure. He bails out his wizard from his bunker unit, and he's trying to, like, blow up and cause a panic on my wizard's unit. He obviously charges the Sloth Knights into my altar, and then you'll look over here, this stupid spooky house makes a charge into my Hydra. Like, I did it as far away as I could. Now, granted, I could have turned the Hydra to given him a flank to make it like an inch longer charge, sure, but you know what, I was determined to be like, well, if you're charging Mr. Cuddles, he's gonna take it head on. So Mr. Cuddles is going to have to take it head on. In terms of magic, you know, he's able to get some damage spells off on the Beast Breakers, but luckily he doesn't do enough to get any of their points, and they do pass their panic, thank God, because my BSB hadn't died yet. And then, of course, surprise, his Envy Knights just absolutely destroy the spears and break them and run them down. So I just lost my spear unit and the BSB unit. Yeah, that's like 1,000 points of a point swing right there. So that cost me quite a lot. And then no, fucking Mr. Cuddles can't make a goddamn fortitude save. It's like he makes his charge, right? And like I think he goes before the Hydra. So I'm just like, okay, cool. He'll get like a couple wounds through, but then hopefully the Hydra will swing back and like get him with some poisons, and like I'll do okay here. No. Homeboy, the spooky house, rolls max on his 2d3 grinds, wounds with everything, so he's wounding me on 5s, wounds with everything, or no, not wounds with everything, excuse me, he wounds with exactly 3, which I had 3 wounds remaining, and I don't make an armor save, and I don't make a fortitude save, and he just kills Mr. Cuddles outright, which, crucially, gives him a Titan token, and if you recall, my Titan is dead. So this stupid spooky house just won my opponent the objective. Damn it. So I think my Hydra right now is definitely in the lead from Mike's Hydra in terms of not doing shit and dying horribly. Granted, this is, I mean, you know, it's on me. Like, I own that. I sent Mr. Cuddles to his grave, and he decided to jump in the hole and make a nice little home out of it. Anyway, that is the end of the game. In other news, you know, my last turn, because I had the final turn, my chariot and my chariot prince charged his barbarian horsemen. I killed them. No surprises there. And it is a 17-3 to the Warriors of the Dark Gods. Thank you so much, Ben, for playing an awesome game. That was really fun. And yeah, it was a great opponent to play against. And yeah, that was hard. That was a hard matchup. As you can see, I lost my Raptor Prince, the BSB, the Spears, the Auxiliary, both units of Obsidian Guard, the Altar from the Sloth Knights, and Mr. Cuddles. In turn, I was able to get both units of Fallen, both units of Hounds, one Chariot, the Envy Knights, as well as the Barbarian Horsemen. So yeah, that was crushing. That was hard. Not passing that 9 rerollable. That's one of those moments that just hurts your soul. But hey, we that's dice. We keep moving. So post-game thoughts here. The macro, I think I actually didn't if my plan was to split my army in two, I don't think I did it enough. But I also realized it was kind of because of the Dawn Assault deployment, which meant that I didn't have that 18-inch, buffer zone there to really split my army in two. So I think I know I did the best that I could there, but I'm wondering if I could have done better. At least that was the plan, or maybe then here's the bigger question, right? Do I split and instead say you know what, I'm going to castle, and hopefully trade as much as I can with his more expensive units with my cheaper units that still hit pretty hard, and hopefully get the points in the end. I don't know what the right play here is. It's just because that Master of Occultism makes everything so difficult, and it's just oh, you thought you're going to send your 10 Obsidian Guard into the Envy Knights? No, there's now only 2 of them. But yeah, some of the micro stuff is I don't think I deployed my wizard very well. It was difficult to get my wizard in range of some of those important spells, specifically Will of the Wisp. To really kind of mitigate some of those Envy Knight buses. I definitely threw the Raptor Prince away. That was just my fault. I thought the Raptor Prince was going to do better. Even if, if he stuck, that would have been just pure luck, right? The fact that he survived because I rolled those 6s, that normally doesn't happen. I think it goes. The crucial moment was choosing to not overrun with the Chariot Prince and say I'm gonna face some of your other threats, but in so doing, it just allowed my opponent to charge the Titan and actually win the objective. So I think I should have just said, if you're gonna charge the flank of the Chariot Prince, you're -1 to hit me. I have minimized reroll. I can that Chariot Prince is a beat stick, so I can actually go toe to toe with those knights pretty well. So yeah, maybe just saying I'm gonna take it because I have the minimized rerollable discipline test. But yeah, I chose not to do that. And then also, yeah, just micro things like that, failing the 9 rerollable to restrain. That was the nail in the coffin. that really changed the outcome of the game there. It made the 17-3 very much a crushing defeat, versus saying say if my opponent does win the objective there, it still could have been say a 14-6. But yeah, nope, 'twas not to be. Anyway, thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you are all about that occultism and have drank the Kool-Aid. And yeah, I really do appreciate it. If you've made it this far into the video, it's pretty awesome. So thanks again to Ben for such a fun and great and challenging game. And yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one for round 4. Ciao, ciao for now, y'all.